Hello and welcome to episode 26 of Surrey Build Weekly. This week's episode, we are not looking at any ongoing projects, but looking at past completed projects. We have Douglas Road, so Mohan is going to talk you through his project, and we've also got Pewley Hill, and Steve is going to talk to you about his project.
We thought there was a lot of space upstairs because we're looking at the houses nearby. There was terraced house and stuff, but the bungalows had a lot of space. I did not go upstairs at all, and one of my handyman went upstairs to get something and he said, oh, it's a huge space there. We wanted to move to a larger place. We even looked at a property nearby, but then we changed our mind in the end, thinking, oh, we've got a big space there. Why do you want to spend so much money on stamp duty and other things? Instead, we can do our own house, and that'll be much more livable.
So it was really my wife who was really interested in doing a loft conversion. And I think the real driving force, which eventually I got enthusiastic about too, was that we got 6 grandkids. So the idea of having somewhere that the grandkids could come and stay, or the grandkids and their parents could come and stay, that was appealing. Any money you put into a loft conversion, you would get back if you sold the house. So it's not too shabby an investment. So that, I think, helped convince me that it would be a good idea.
I did have the drawing, like 2 bedrooms and a bathroom. I wasn't too comfortable with it, to be honest, because I thought it's going to be 2 box rooms and a bathroom. I wasn't too sure, but once I opened everything, I was like, okay, it's a big space now. I would say I've got a large bedroom downstairs. It's probably bigger than that. So I was quite surprised when it ended. But yeah, I'm quite happy with how everything came up in the end.
One of the elements about the loft conversion is that certainly in the early days, all the work's essentially going on outside. Yeah. I mean, there are guys in the loft, but the loft is still sealed off by the ceiling. So you don't, apart from there being people around hammering and knocking, you don't really get your life disrupted. And once they got to breaking through the ceiling to put the famous stairs in, you're getting towards the end anyway, so it's not quite so bad, and most of the dirt and dust has gone.
One of the main things I would say is the time, right? Even this was done in like quick 5-6 weeks, to be honest. I thought it'll take much longer than that. I thought all the mess and where we're gonna live, I was expecting an easy 3 to 4 months. But then the builders were great. They finished everything in, I would say, 5 weeks. But my concern was how long this is going to take, how messy it's going to be, communication and everything. But in the end, I think, I'm quite happy with that aspect where it was done quicker. That was my main concern.
We heard about Surrey Lofts a long time ago. In fact, our first contact was with the previous owners of Surrey Lofts. I think my wife actually got a quote from the previous owner, and we kind of sat on it and we weren't necessarily convinced. I think what happened was that Lee and Sarah called us up when they took the business over and said, are you still interested in doing a conversion? And right up front, one of the things they said was that they would honour the price that the previous people had quoted. They took as much time as we wanted to talk to us, which is good, and you kind of build up an impression of people. And certainly those two gave the impression that although the whole process wouldn't necessarily be trouble-free, they would be around to pick up the pieces if there were pieces to pick up.
They were quite professional and they were on time. So those things you remember and you think, okay, maybe next time when I'm serious, I've got to do that, and I ended up doing it. Yeah, they were quite professional. They came in and answered most of my questions, yeah. You could see them work really hard, and sometimes they would call up and say, hey, can you check upstairs? Do you think it's okay? I felt more into it. I felt more like I was part of the project as well, even though I am, but in terms of the build itself. So I sort of got involved after the first week. So yeah, I think they've got the right builders, right people to do the job.
I'd say they're friendly. They go by charm. I know that's 2 words, but they do, they have charm. If there was something bugging us, or if one of the workers hadn't turned up on time and who were concerned that the work wouldn't carry on. You can certainly always reach Sarah, and then she can always reach Lee. And they deal with the response with charm.
Today is the 8th of August, so it's not even 2 months now, and we've done the whole project. And I mean, everyone walks across and they say, "Oh, is it already done? These guys have been really good." So yeah, I think they've got the right people. The timeline was met, which is the most important thing. There were some communication challenges, but in the end, if you look at the timeline, they said 6 to 8 weeks. It was done within 6 weeks mainly. The main thing, the loft, was done within 6 weeks. So
I thought that the thing that I valued most was Lee's eye for detail and design. I thought he was very good at seeing relatively small things that would bring the project to life and give it some charm.
I mean, you had the right price for sure. That's probably the first thing, because money is important. It's a big project. Yeah, it was very professional. At the same time, I had my concerns in terms of will they do it on time, will they have the right people and everything. And even one of the companies I contacted alongside them said there's no way they could do it in this price, and yeah, good luck. So I had my concerns, but then in the end, it was all done really good.
Thank you to Steve and Mohan for showing us their beautiful projects and telling us about their experience with Surrey Lofts. I hope you've enjoyed this week's episode and learned a little bit more about how our company works. If you've enjoyed it and would like to follow more, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you all next week.